children who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Corey.
What's going on there, man? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
What's up, Mob Crew? Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys could hear me all right, please put a 1 in the chat. I'm going to turn up my volume just a little bit more. Today we're going to be talking about the Idaho students. We also have a special guest, Steve from True Crime Web, who I'll introduce here in just a minute. Let me just get the screen all set up. Quick thing, real quick, for my mods, we're trying something new with the Nightbot with the timer. So if you could not put any commands in for this stream, so we can kind of test out, see if the timer works okay. So thank you so much for the mods and all the hard work you guys do. You guys are really appreciated. So before we get started, though, we always like to feature the missing. So today we have Jessica Dietzel. She went missing from Albany, Georgia. She went missing on February 16th of 2020, so a couple of years ago. She was 21 at the time she went missing. She has hazel eyes. She is 5'7" and approximately 150 pounds with blonde hair, but naturally brown. And she does have multiple tattoos, one that you can see on her upper chest there. If you do have any information, please call 229-436-TIPS or call Crime Stoppers. And that is missing from Albany, Georgia. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Steve from True Crime Web. Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fine, sir. And how are you?
Good, thank you. I know a lot of people know you, but for maybe some of those that might be new to this case or channel, do you want to just give just a quick background on yourself?
I'm a retired law enforcement, had 20 years of service, started off on in the jail, worked road, went in investigations, became a state certified crime scene tech, worked all different types of cases from thefts, burglaries, homicides, and now I'm retired and helping my friend, Chris.
Retired and going right back at it, still helping people. That's so amazing. You're awesome. And I've learned so much throughout the time with our experience together. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. So I know you know a little bit. You've been kind of starting to cover this case. So this is the Idaho students. This was a quadruple murder that took place on November 13th. So it's been a little over 3 weeks. We have Ethan Chapman, Zaina Kernodle, Maddie Mogan, or Madison, but their friends called her Maddie, and Kaylee Goncalves. I always get it wrong. So I've heard Gonzalez, Goncalves, so it gets me mixed up every time. But so we have the 4 victims here, 20 and 21 years old. And they were all going to the college there. So the murder took place on November 13th. And just to kind of look at a brief timeline here. So just that night before, it looks like Ethan and Zaina, who were dating each other, they had gone to the Sigma Chi party, which took place from 10 to 11. And then I think they headed home sometime after that, which is on the 1122 King Road, which is not too far away, as you can see here. And then at that same time, between 11 and 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie had went to the Corner Club bar. And then right after that, at approximately 1:40, they're seen, and they're actually captured on video, and we're going to watch a little bit of that. They're seen on video at a Grub truck getting some food. And then apparently there was what they call a private party that picks them up right after they grab their food. And then they believe that they arrived everybody's home by 1:45. Then the next thing on the timeline, let's see, so I've got that. So we'll look at that here in a minute, but and we'll go back to the Grub truck video here. But the next interesting thing is, now this was kind of early days, but in the beginning they said there was 9 calls, but now they're saying in the news that it's 10 calls. And this happened sometime between 2:26 and 2:52 a.m., where Kaylee and her good friend Maddie, and Kaylee did most of the calls, but to an ex-boyfriend, Jack, who has been cleared, but we will talk about him for just a bit. We're just going to kind of talk about everybody that are kind of surrounding the victims. But so 9 or 10 calls to this Jack ex-boyfriend, which seems a bit extreme. I now kind of looking more into this case, it makes me wonder, was possibly there a fight before this? And I was talking to my mom, Jennifer, who's dealt with ex-boyfriends, and she says, sometimes if she had a fight with a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend that, before they go to bed, they would want to kind of resolve it, especially now learning that Kaylee, let's see, pull up Kaylee here. So this is Kaylee and Jack. If we can't just use initials, we're going to try to refer to him as ex-boyfriend. Jack and ex-boyfriend here. Kaylee and ex-boyfriend. Yeah, it's really hard. But Kaylee and the ex-boyfriend were dating for, I think, 5 years, but had been separated during this event. And it's came out that she was actually going to be moving to Texas. Still doing some research. I don't know, maybe if you guys know in the chat if they know when she was actually going to be moving. I'm not sure exactly when, but it was supposed to be really soon, from what I understand. So I wonder if this was kind of a last night hoorah with the girls, and maybe he felt he wasn't invited, and could there have been a conflict there? Possible motive, but like I said, he has been cleared officially. So there has been some new details, and the latest one we'll jump right into is this vehicle. Now, this is not the actual vehicle, but they released this about 2 hours ago on the Facebook for Moscow Police Department, and it says detectives are interested in speaking with the occupant or occupants of a white 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupant or occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. So, what do you think with this new development here?
It is interesting. I mean, does it say exactly what the time frame that? I mean, I know that they're looking for it for the fact that it would be within those early morning hours, but did they say it was parked there or just traveling through?
Let's pull up the official thing here. And I think I copy and pasted the official, but we'll see if there's any other information. So I copied and pasted this information here. Okay, so there's just a little bit more. At this time, no suspect has been identified, and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. We encourage referencing official releases for accurate information. So no, it does not say a specific window of time. It just says that they believe this particular vehicle was sitting in front of the house or near the house, and it just says early morning hours of November 13th.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, there had to be something that brought their attention to it for it being out of place. If it was normally there, it wouldn't be a point of interest to anyone. They wouldn't have noted it. Either it was driving through the neighborhood suspiciously, or it was parked in a place that someone else normally parked. There had to be something that brought their attention to some witness to report that vehicle.
Right. Let me quickly get this, and we'll kind of back up the timeline here. Tom says, "Thank you, Chris and Steve, for covering these cases. You guys do an amazing job. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tom, for the $10. Thank you so much for the support." Okay, so let's get back to it here. So yeah, no idea what. Someone just brought up a good question. It's Michelle. Out of state plates. That would be interesting to know if the person, depending on how they know of this vehicle, is it from surveillance, but just a witness? Yeah, that's a good question, though. So let's switch over to just the basic floor plan of this house. And so we have the first floor plan, which is the front door here. And there's also another little update that just came out as well just before the car. And that is that the front door was apparently open. And let's just quickly watch this. It's just a 10-second clip here. And we'll quickly play this real quick here.
A neighbor who walked by that morning who was coming back to his apartment was wide open around 8:39 a.m. He told me that he gave that information to investigate.
So she says it really fast. It says like 8:45 to 9. I'm going to double check here.
8:39 a.m. He told me that he gave
8:49?
Yeah.
wide open around 8:39 a.m. He told me.
So 8:49, because I've seen someone post 8:45 to 9 a.m., but I think she says 8:49, correct? Is that what you hear?
That's what I heard.
Okay, yeah, because I saw somebody put 8:45/9, but yeah, I think she does say 8:49. So, okay, interesting. We'll play that one more time.
Door so much, but the front door, I'm told by a neighbor who walked by that morning who was coming back to his apartment, was wide open around 8:39 a.m. He told me that he gave that information to investigators, but we hadn't heard too much about that front door. And around 8.
Now, I know I was trying to find this because it might be up on YouTube now, but I was trying to find this clip because I don't know if you can actually read what's at the ticker on the bottom there. That's actually not your ticker, it's just a banner. But it says people cleared in the killings may be re-interviewed. So I think that's kind of huge because the family I know some of the family members feel like some people that were cleared early on, they might have cleared, some people a little prematurely, I guess I should say. So I think that's interesting that they're saying that.
Oh, yes. I
What do
mean,
you,
it often is the case that even such as what happened in Delphi, someone that was interviewed early on was not investigated for 5+ years and now is being held and has been attempted to be interviewed, I'm sure, quite a few times. So oftentimes those early people within those parameters is the person that you need to look at the most.
yeah. Jamie says, I couldn't understand much. She's just saying that the neighbor had walked by, saw the front door wide open, which I think is interesting because I think before this, a lot of us, at least that I don't watch too many other YouTubers. I wish I had time, but I know there's a lot of speculation that this perpetrator came in through the second floor. Just because they have like evidence tape up, but that's interesting with the door wide open like that. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for becoming a member. You're so awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. So yeah, just to kind of get that out of the way, the two new updates is seeing that front door open and especially the car. I think that's huge. And we'll kind of jump back to that. But so here's just kind of a look at the floor plan. So it's a 3-floor, 6 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms per floor. You had their surviving roommates on the first floor. Now we've learned that the front door may have been wide open. And you have, when you come in, you would have the stairs going to the second floor just as you enter. And when you get to the second floor would be kind of like the main floor. That's where the living room is here. You got the kitchen here. And then you've got a bedroom here. And then you've got where Xana and then Ethan was not a roommate. He was just there with his girlfriend in this bedroom here. And then you have the stairs that go to the third floor right here. And then also note that this is where the slider for the second floor. So the secondary entrance to this home would be right here. And then we have the third floor plan, which is interesting. We have Maddie's bedroom here. And then we have Kaylee's bedroom here. And from now that's been what's released is Maddie and Kaylee were in the same bedroom. I've heard that they were found in the same bed. It could be possible maybe Kaylee was packing up, so she didn't really have much in her room, if she was leaving to Texas. So, and then the dog. So that's one of the biggest things right now. That kind of. So, Kaylee and the ex-boyfriend, they kind of shared the dog, who is Murphy. Murphy was found unharmed. Now, I cannot confirm this right now, but I've heard reports that he was found in the spare bedroom, which I'm assuming would have been Kaylee's bedroom. I would think the dog would have been with the girls. So just with the animal being involved in something like this, what would you take from that?
Well, I looked up this dog breed, and they say it's extremely friendly. That it's not a type of dog that is alert or something that you would use to defend your home with. It's more of a family pet, and that when it meets strangers, it wants to play versus alert. But that doesn't mean that all dogs, even within that breed, would be that way. The dog being isolated away from the girls is interesting, and who placed it there and when was it placed there. And they'll be able to tell, whenever they process the crime scene, that was the dog elsewhere at any point during these assaults, that if it was in the room while any of the assaults were going on, had it been exposed to any of the blood spatter? Did it walk through any of the blood and take it back to that room and was locked up later? We just don't know that information yet, which will tell you a lot about the individual involved if that is the case. If the dog is locked up during or after the assault, that is a different set of circumstances that law enforcement will look at. But if the dog was never exposed to the crime scenes, that's another story.
Sure. Excuse me. So from what I understand, this is a golden doodle. From just, I'm pretty sure it's a golden doodle. There's a lot of different mixes, but to me, it looks like a golden doodle. It's have a mix, and just kind of do a little research on those. Yeah, they're pretty tame. They're not, from just a little bit of research, I understand they're not big yappers. But if this dog didn't alert to the others, maybe that could be a clue as to this dog knew the killer, and this person had been there before. I think to be able to fortunately kill 4 people without really having any be able to defend themselves or wake up or be alert, could say that this dog wasn't alerted because it knew the person. And so moving on, we've got just a couple, and we're going to get into the hoodie guy as well. We're going to kind of explain, go over both the ex-boyfriend and hoodie guy. I've got some information because there was a popular video going around of the hoodie guy, and where he points the finger and says "F you," and this person that made the TikTok video kind of makes it seem like the girl's pointing to the hoodie guy. But I'm going to show you something, and I think she's actually pointing to somebody else. So not saying that clears the hoodie guy, but for right now, they're saying that, both these guys are cleared. But from what I understand, and this is just speculation right now, is I've heard the alibi for the ex-boyfriend is something along the lines that his roommates had seen him that night and can kind of vouch that he saw him go to bed. And that's about as much as I can say. And I've also heard that he lived next door or pretty close. I cannot confirm that if that's true. If somebody knows in chat, but that would be interesting if that was the case. Now, moving over to hoodie guy, his story from another person that was there at the Grub truck said that this guy was supposedly escorting the 2 girls from the bar, Kaylee and Maddie, and he's seen shadowing the girls. The 2 girls, which is really interesting, is they don't associate with this guy at all while they're getting their food. So for somebody to be, being the nice guy and escorting these, a drunk, these ladies home, you would think that they would kind of talk to this guy, and but it seems like they just don't want anything to do with him. So maybe they were kind of creeped out, and he feels like he was, in his mind, he feels like he was doing a good deed, but they got a bad vibe from him. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. It was Maddie. Yeah. And I'm going to show you guys something because I've seen this video it's the same angle, but it's a better quality. And so shout out to Plunder. I'm going to play her video. She's got the whole 10 minutes up on YouTube. And I noticed something before she says F you, and I'm going to point this out. I just need to get to one comment so I can knock that off real quick here. Tom says, I think this case will be solved through confession. Way too much evidence. Anytime we hear sloppy crime scene, it tells the tale. Yeah. Steve thinks there might be not enough evidence, or we'll get into that if we have time. But yeah, they have how much evidence? 113.
I think they were claiming they had collected 113 pieces of evidence.
130. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much, Tom, for the $10, buddy. Yeah. If we get time, we'll kind of. And so let's play this video. And like I said, this is from Plunder, so shout out to her. We're not going to play the whole 10 minutes, but I'm going to kind of skip it to that part and just kind of let you guys decide. But I found
it down to
something
follow to the 10.
Okay, so we're going to kind of skip it forward here. Okay, so just to kind of get a little context. So this is Joe. Apparently, this guy's done a couple of interviews, and he's the one that kind of described the hoodie guy and kind of explained what he was doing there. Now, from what I understand from Joe is that he kind of ran into the girls at the bar as well. And from what I've heard is he mentioned that he said one of them bumped into him and he said, ew. I guess he doesn't like girls or any inebriated person bumping into him. And I guess his response was, ew. And so keep that in mind. And that's what Joe, this kind of tan hat guy here.
Oh, yep. So what you want to do? $10 for you.
Right now we got Joe here. Hoodie guy is kind of off in the background here. We're going to kind of skip it forward here. There's hoodie guy. They're all kind of talking.
Sounds good.
Can I get a big burrito?
Yeah. For the big burrito, would you like pork or chicken?
You got Joe here. You got hoodie guy back there. I'm sorry for anybody that's on the phone. I know it's kind of small. We got, as a matter of fact, Steve, I'm going to remove both of us.
Sure.
Oh, wait, no, I can't. Can I make it bigger? Let's see. Can I put this in the picture? There we go. Okay, now I can make it bigger. Perfect. Okay.
Got it. And then you said a Mountain Dew?
Yes, please.
Excellent. Order 81. Thank you.
Okay, so the main thing we want to keep an eye on is this bottom window here. So I apologize for people on the phone because it's got the 4 windows. Maybe if I get time after this show, I will blow up that bottom video and show you guys the whole context of this.
Extra slaw? Is that?
I know you're freezing. I know.
Go, please.
I'm
No,
up
I'm
here.
getting yours no matter what. Like, please, he's waiting.
So we have Maddie in the little black coat here, and we got Kaylee standing next to her. We got hoodie guy right here, and then we got Joe kind of in the background here.
We'll do 2 5 cheese mac and cheese.
Like, I'm adding 2 or you're making it, it's now 2?
Oh,
Sorry.
2.
You're adding
Like
2.
2.
Excellent. Gotcha. Okay.
As right now, you've got Joe and the hoodie guy just kind of chatting it up right now.
Anything else?
And it seems like the girls just want nothing to do with kind of either of them.
Reed, come on, you're the last one. All right. Okay.
You got it. So I have a chicken taco and 3 5-cheese mac and cheeses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
$27.75.
Hey.
How many apples in the mac of the week? 0, TJ.
All of them.
0.
Don't let them lie to you.
A little bit forward here.
Can I get a Macafier?
You got it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then
All right, I thought it was a little fraud.
you. I was right.
First time using apples and tacos.
Oh great, the battery.
Okay, I'm going to turn this down for a minute.
My first time was when I went to
Well,
the grocery
better luck
store
next
to buy
time.
donuts.
Just gonna try to get it to where it's at.
Door. Oh, really? You just had my cards.
Okay. It's because you're too prepared, Derek.
It's because I try not to forget my ball. It's a good reason.
That's smart, Derek. It's
First time
probably
seeing
good
the
to
whole
not
10
lose your
minutes.
wallet. Guys. Yeah, great ticket times, honestly. Like, Luke, Tebow.
Like Friday nights.
I mean,
Okay, here it
that was
is.
a solid rush. It's a
Sorry
good
that
thing
took so long. Okay, let me back it up just a little bit. Sorry. Okay, so to get the context here, and I'm sorry for those guys that are on the phone. So where my mouse is at, we got the hoodie guy and we got Joe here. Keep in mind that supposedly Joe had said you to one of the girls because they had bumped into him, and as he doesn't like people bumping into him. Nothing against that, just that's just his words.
Good to not lose your wallet, guys. Yeah, great ticket times, honestly. Like Luke, Tebow, really solid.
Okay, so you're gonna see Jack. You're gonna first see the hoodie guy point his finger, and they're clearly gonna be talking about the girls, and then you're gonna see Joe, the tan hat guy, point at these girls and start it's clearly they're having a conversation about I'm assuming they're having a conversation about the girls or something, because it gets Maddie's attention. So he points. So there's hoodie guy. He points right here. Now, then clearly your tan hat guy is going to say something and point at the girls as well.
Yeah, but not 22. Love it. Very
So
pleased.
Joe, how
All right,
close are we
back
to
in.
you sitting down on like Friday nights?
I mean,
see, he's pointing. Now this is hoodie guy. He's pointing out, and I'm just going to go on a limb here. I'm wondering if he's describing what happened when the girls ran into him. I'm just I don't know, but could be possibly just talking about what happened. Hey, she was kind of a little inebriated, and she kind of bumped into me, and so anyway. So he's got his hand sticking out. Now look, she's looking. To me, it looks like she's looking at the tan hat guy.
That was a solid rush.
And look, she goes to point. Now, it's really hard. Like I said, I'm going to have to break this up because I only caught this like an hour before the show. So I kind of feel bad for those that can't really see this. But to me, it looks like she's pointing to the tan hat guy. Steve, let me play just a little bit more.
It's a good thing that it ended, but...
And see, and then she says, F you. And to me, I think she's pointing at the tan hat guy. Can you see that okay, Steve? I apologize. I'll have to after this live show.
Yeah,
but
I just snipped it. I'll be blowing it up and lightening it up and doing some of the Photoshop stuff on it and see what it looks like.
I know this isn't groundbreaking. Gosh, I can't even say that. No, it's not groundbreaking. But there's that big video that went out saying, the girls are pointing to the hoodie guy. And I'm not trying to clear anybody, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that we're getting the right context of stuff. And that TikTok video that kind of went viral, doesn't really show them talking just before she points the finger, but you can clearly see, and we'll just back it up just one more time. You can clearly see that, they strike some kind of conversation between hoodie guy and tan hat guy. And tan hat guy's, so here's where it starts. This hoodie guy points.
Yeah, but not 22. Love it. Very
and then tan hat guy's kind of
like Friday nights
responding, and then bam, he's got his hand up like he's pushing. So that's where I think he's describing like, hey, space. He's got his hand out. He's not pointing. He's got his hand, out like this. And then she's looking right at it. I mean, just immediately sees that.
That was a solid rush.
And then points right after he puts his hand down. And to me, it seems like she's pointing at 10.
It's a good thing that it ended, but
I know this is nothing like huge, but
Friday,
just,
Saturday, they got you down.
And I'm not trying to put Joe as a suspect either, but I just wanted to give some context because I know everybody's been kind of on the hoodie guy, but it's interesting. And
the
so
mannerisms of everyone else that's standing around is not like she's screaming and cussing or anything. I mean, it's Nobody took special note or went over there, that you would normally think if someone was in duress. So I don't know how loud she said that. But it doesn't look like she caused a big scene.
Yeah. So, like I said, it just something that get a little context to, and I still don't know 100%, but it really looks like, I mean, like you said, when he puts his hand up out, it grabs her attention. And so, for those that can't see it, I will make a little video, but he just kind of puts his hand out, and that's what gets her attention.
Joe, how close are we to you sitting down on Friday nights?
I mean,
right here, boom. And I think says something that she didn't like. So anyway, just wanted to show you guys that, and I will take this little box and blow it up after the show and see if we can get a better look at that. But just to add a little context to stuff. So moving back to everything here. So just with this kind of with it going on for over 3 weeks now, what do you think the likelihood knew the victims?
Well, people are normally killed by people they know. I mean, statistically, that's what the stats are, for a lot of different reasons. The remoteness of this isn't a place that strangers just would jump off the highway and go to. You're in a part of town that's not easily accessible, that you would think have local knowledge if you're in that part of the community. And I'm sure law enforcement has seized every bit of digital camera evidence they can from all the stores, and for hours prior to and hours after, to see what vehicles were driven in what directions, and who was out and about in vehicles, and also on foot. I don't know where the closest convenience store or the major intersection that gives access to this section of the community, but if it's someone within that area or has lived there relatively recently, there's so many unknowns and variables right now.
Sure. Now, we were talking before this. If the killer knows the victims, how hard is it going to be with DNA and touch DNA and fingerprints? How hard is it going to be able to find the killer if he has been in the home? Can you kind of talk about that? If that's
yes, the plus if there's been any type of intimate relationships. I mean, people that in college towns and everything, they go to parties. Had the individual been there before, would it be easily any type of evidence that, I was there in a party last week or a month before? And the DNA of people that have relationships with that household and with those people involved inside the house, if it's any of that circle within their orbit of friends, it would be extremely hard for any of the DNA to mean anything. It easily just can be discredited as far as being to the crime. Now, if they have evidence, DNA of fresh blood or fingerprints or shoe prints or contamination of any of the blood or hair fiber or anything from the crime scene that night, is a different story. But if it's just a fingerprint that could have been left at a party a week before, it's going to be extremely hard to get that evidence in to mean anything against any certain suspect.
definitely, because let's say an ex-boyfriend or a friend that comes over, hangs out during the weekends, is opening up doors and has touched multiple things. Then they go in there, and then if he is one of those are the killer, then they've got to sift through that, because this guy, hey, I was there. Yeah, I was there that weekend and weekend before. So So they got a tough job, especially if the killer is. Now, would you say as time goes on, does that lean more towards somebody that knows this person, or is that just kind of up in the air?
Well, yeah, I mean, the further it goes, now if they've got a fresh blood trail I have no doubt that the offender DNA is in that residence, either through the confrontation, because they said several of the victims fought back, which several means more than one, and probably three of them, at least three I think when I looked up some of my old data, that in knife fights, the victims can live anywhere from 20 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes, depends on the injuries of ones that died. And so it can be a long confrontation. And so was the offender scratched? Did he hurt himself? Did they grab his hair? Did they, the fingernail clippings and the things that they'll do during the autopsies and the evidence they recover will speak volumes, as and some of that stuff takes days, if not weeks and months to bring back from the lab.
Yeah. Danger Days says, this is a great point. DNA won't provide a date. That's a great point. So they're thinking that this was possibly a K-bar or something similar that was used in the attack. And you've worked a couple of homicides that were more than one, like a double homicide.
Yes,
we were just talking about, and it's a good possibility, especially with 4. And I know you just kind of said this, but that this guy could have slipped and cut himself, especially if someone's defending, and if there was at least more than one person defending.
That's quite common in knife fights that everyone gets cut, the victims plus the offender, and it takes a heavy, just a kitchen knife, the blades will break off. I've seen where people have been injured with them, twist, turn, and the blade pop from the handle. And so you're looking at something that's designed that would be a heavy blade that wouldn't break. And they know exactly from the injuries, they'll be able to tell a lot about that weapon.
Sure.
It depends on how far the knife was inserted.
Sure.
And they'll be able to tell the wound channel, the length of the blade, the thickness, and width, and things of that nature. And if there's any, say that the guard on it, that it'll transfer over, and there may be some bruising or there may be some blood transfer, they'll give a clear outline of what type of blade guard is on that weapon.
Interesting. So now that we've learned, if you're just coming in, the 2 biggest new things is that the front door was wide open. I'll get to that in just a second. And there is a car, and we'll kind of go back to that here in just a second as well. They're looking for a white Hyundai Elantra between the years 2011, 2013, which is pretty specific. And we'll show that car, what it looks like here in just a second. But now with this witness coming by at 8:49.
I believe that's what they said. The door was open.
So a witness comes by early Sunday morning, sees the front door wide open. I've always kind of thought that they came in through the second door, and that's kind of why maybe the survivors of the first floor weren't attacked, as they came in through second, and especially if this was targeted, and Kaylee was, who I forgot to mention, Kaylee unfortunately received the worst of the wounds. So it's speculated that she was the target. But how often is it, just in your experience, would the killer usually use the same entrance and exit?
Well, throughout my investigations of crimes, generally the unknown people that don't belong there, they'll go through either hidden areas, hidden windows, hidden doors. people that are familiar or have been to the house before, they'll use front doors. That's where they normally park. That's where they normally go in and out of the house. That if they have a key, is that the door that they had a key to. And so, yes, going through a front door there's a reason for that. And if that is the case of why that door was used, and because they would have exited towards the path closest to their vehicle or otherwise.
Interesting. Yeah. Now that we're hearing about this white Elantra, if there was, and I wonder if that means that there could be two people involved, a getaway driver or depending on where it's parked. We still don't know a lot of details, and we'll show that here in just a second one more time. Thank you so much, Michelle Nicholas. Super chat, Conga Line, Laugh Out Loud. Thank you so much. Yes, donations help this channel. We do more than just cover. We go out and actually help. And Steve has got some projects. He's working on some cold cases besides just covering true crime. He's out doing some stuff, and I am going to be going hopefully with Steve as well, and hopefully helping with Dylan Rounds again. Just got to wait for the temperature to kind of warm up. Well, let's take a look at that car for those that are just tuning in. Let's see where we got it here. I got quite a bit here. Let's pull up. This one here. So this is not, of course, the exact vehicle, but this is kind of what they're looking for. So I'll just read this one more time. So detectives are interested in speaking with the occupant or occupants of a white 2011 to 13 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators. So that's interesting. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Now, they believe this crime took place somewhere between 3 and 4, maybe 3 and 5. They wouldn't call 911 until almost noon. So, the surviving roommates apparently didn't wake up, because they probably were out and went to bed late. But that's huge, having a vehicle. Unfortunately, a white car is one of the most common. But at least they've got something to work with now. So moving back on to my questions here. This is another big one. So obviously, this would be a very brutal attack. Would the killer use the bathroom to clean themselves, or do they exit and do that somewhere else? And something like this, where it's going to be bloody, would they clean themselves in the bathroom? And from your experience of working with homicide,
I've seen it. I've seen them where they'll wash their hands. But of course, when they do that, the law enforcement will take the traps from the sink for that purpose. In case if you have indicators that there was certain cleaning or at a sink or something, that's the first thing you do. Is that the homicide investigators will go in there. They'll secure that trap and all the remnants that would be in that trap to secure the DNA. That could be, of course, within there. And make whatever, but I have seen it for the fact that especially if you're driving a vehicle, you don't want to cross-contaminate any more than you have to. And if he's organized, if he's disorganized, then of course, and we don't know how organized what the crime scene looks inside. The profile will be built from how organized the sequence of events occurred, the order that they occurred, and was it total chaos or was it something that was, there are certain indicators for if he brought a weapon, which is more towards the organized than disorganized. A lot of disorganized people that came there in the heat of the moment during some type of just an argument, they will use weapons that are within the scene itself. They're
like take a kitchen knife, or
they take a kitchen knife, pick up a stool, chair, plant, things off the shelves, heavy materials, whatever, and use those. But when you start bringing your own either weapons and or restraints, and work your way through a crime scene, that's a different type of mentality and different type of offender.
Interesting. Heather Rios says, and this is a good something I wanted to talk about. Each bedroom supposedly had its own lock, and Xana's dad had just fixed or replaced hers. It's weird because they kind of mention, you hear one quote saying just a lock, and then the reporter kind of refers to locks. So not sure if it's single or plural, but yes. What's interesting is this is actually kind of a picture of the home, and yeah, you don't see the locks, but yeah, apparently, I don't know this for a fact, but this is before they were rented this out to them, that they had little locks on each, not just the front door, but code pads for each of the bedroom doors. So interesting. If that's the case, if there are coded doors, I mean, and if they were locked, let's say if we look at the floor plan, and I don't want to be speculating at person, pointing at anybody, but so the two bedrooms that were attacked were the second floor, Xana and Ethan, but what they feel like is the targeted attack, which was on the third floor. And apparently Maddie and Kaylee were in the same bedroom, in the same bed. Would that mean that maybe this person, if it was shut, this person knew the code, which would mean that this guy knows the home?
Well, they'll check the doors. I mean, it's not hard getting into many of the interior doors of homes. They're easily carded, and so I don't know what type of locks or what the code was, or even if the door was shut, was it open?
Right.
I mean, we won't know, and the victimology of them talking to other friends will tell them a lot. That did they normally go to sleep, and do they all lock their doors at night? You have two of the you have the two survivors in the residence that will be able to bring a lot of information to the table.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, let's look at this. Sorry, Molly, I'll come back to yours, but yeah, I don't know. Let's take a look at their video and see if we can see one of the rooms. Gosh, Duro, I'm OC Chiduro. I just butchered that, I know. But great comment. I'm trying to do two things. Let's just take a look at this video. I won't have the audio to it, but that's okay. Where they're kind of imitating each other. I guess that will answer it, wouldn't it? So here we've got her. With Murphy here. And we can't see any locks, but okay. So she's walking up to the second floor here. This is kind of where the living room, but this would be, I think, if to your left would be Xana, and then where Ethan. So that's where they would have been attacked. Okay, so this is a look at the second floor. Yeah, stairs. And I think this is, look at the floor plan now. Floor plan. No, the bathroom's on the right. That's the bedroom. So yeah, I think they have just regular door. Oops. I thought I could do that with the video still playing. So it looks like that one at the very least. Let's go back here. If that's the bedroom, that's just a regular doorknob. And that's pretty much the look. She's at the closet. I think this is second floor again. Yeah, so I'm just seeing. Oh. Forward it. So I only get the one bedroom so far. Fortunately, that other bedroom has their door up. Well, no, it looks closed. I can't see it though. Let me go back just a little bit. Oh, can't. That's one of the surviving roommates. That's forward and okay, so yeah, all we could see was the one, but yeah, that was just a regular doorknob. So look at that a little bit more. I might be able to see that other bedroom, but I'd have to really slow it down. But interesting though. So maybe not all the doors were had those locks. Maybe it was just the front door, but the front door was open, so they clearly either knew the code or came out and just either entered through the second floor and then came out the first floor, ran to the car, like you said. If the car is involved in this. We'll play one other little update that they did. This is nothing big, but just something that they're doing for the family. I think that's kind of important.
Earlier today of investigators at the scene of that house on campus where those 4 University of Idaho students were found stabbed to death now almost a month ago. Okay, this was the scene. Many investigators there with that U-Haul truck were taking some of the personal items of the victims that belonged to the victims, and they were returning them to their respective family members. And we want to get an update on this story right now, too, because police have just announced that they are looking...
Can you hear that okay, Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
For something that might assist them in their investigation. We're going to be joined right now by Live Now's own Andy Mack in our newsroom. Okay, Andy, fill us in. What are police looking for, and why did they make this announcement now?
Well, any news in this Moscow case with the 4 slain students there is big news, and we're getting news that they are looking for a potential car and the occupants in it as they are looking for. We had an update from the Facebook page. As you can see, they're hoping to speak with the occupants of a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look into additional information about a vehicle being in that immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November the 13th. Of course, the Hyundai Elantra, you can see there just a stock picture, as investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. And as you know, what police have told us is that these 4 victims were stabbed between 3 and 4 in the morning. The 4 students, they returned just early morning hours of this November 13th in this residence in Moscow, and it was between 3 and 4 that they believe they were stabbed. So certainly looking for the occupants of those potential car, that white Hyundai Elantra. Of course, Lee saw this earlier today, so we followed both of these cases here today.
So just, if you can't hear, I know it's a little low, but they're basically kind of giving the belongings to the victims of the family, which, you know, it's been 3 weeks. I'm sure they've got stuff, you know, this might be some of their, you know, only memorabilia, or at least, you know, so I think that's real big for them to get that stuff back. Let's see. Play a little bit more of this.
They were
here.
over 2 hours packing up the belongings of the 4 murdered Idaho college students, including one victim's pink cowboy boots. Moscow Police Chief James Fry and at least 6 other officers were in this residence early this morning. Officers could be loading that U-Haul with plastic bins, boxes, and a white office chair, and also artwork. Fry told reporters at the scene that they had removed, quote, some of the things the family wanted and other belongings that were there, end quote. So certainly a couple new developments we're getting here out of Moscow, looking into that Hyundai Elantra, that white Hyundai Elantra. So if you have information, if you were in the car, or if you have information about who might have been in a car like that in Moscow, Idaho, on the early morning hours of November 14th, Moscow police.
Jeanette, so I'm just curious when you say that, because I've heard some conflicting things, and from my interpretation, and like I said, I don't know if that's fact, but I heard that the dog was there, but it was in a different room. That's, but yes, and it has been turned over and it's doing fine. But from my understanding, the dog was there, just possibly placed in another room, or just. We don't know for sure.
Do we know if it was crate trained and that's what normal was? I mean, that's something that the friends downstairs be able to advise law enforcement about.
Right. So I'm just kind of removing some stuff. So just let's see. We've gone 1 hour ago, just a little bit longer. Let's see. There was a couple other things to touch on. Where is that here? So with your experience with something like this, with it going along, not only is it maybe somebody close to them, but would you think this more leans to one individual or two?
Well, I'm telling you, if it's one individual, and regardless, even if it's 2 or 3, the DNA is within the residence. It's just a matter of the lab coming back on it. I mean, you don't get into physical alterations with that many victims, and most of them fight back. If most of them fought back, that's more indicative of a single offender, because if there's 2 or 3, then in a blitz attack, if you have multiple offenders, everybody attacking, you're not going to have a lot of fighting back. If most of them fought back, there's a reason for that he could only go after one first, then the other one was awakened, and then we had a little short fight. Or that's just my 2 cents right now. That's on guessing from that one statement that most of them fought back.
Yeah, interesting. Now, I do want to, and like I said, I'm not trying to point a finger at any certain individual, but I just kind of want to go back and just reiterate something that I did see that I thought was a little interesting. Now, we know that the ex-boyfriend has been cleared, but do keep in mind the family does believe that they cleared some certain individuals prematurely, and they are actually, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show today, but they are, I couldn't find the clip for it, but they are actually re-interviewing certain people. That was something that's also new, which I think is great, because they've always could have cleared. I mean, in your experience, have you experienced that where somebody would be cleared in the beginning and then they come back to? I know we kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier, but
well, I mean, throughout history, you see that, people that, even Ted Bundy was looked at early on and, interviewed. And it will probably be that way. I mean, same thing with the Green River Killer. He was interviewed. So it's nothing for law enforcement to bypass and through the early parts of investigations that for whatever reason they miss certain details, and killers walk for quite a while until something brings them back, law enforcement back around to recheck on them.
Yeah. So just like I said, he has been cleared for now, but I just wanted to add to this, which is interesting, just because some of the clues that we have right now is we have the dog that wasn't harmed, and they from just the research and from what I've heard, they're not yappers, so they really probably wouldn't have alarmed to anybody really anyway, but I think if it was a complete stranger, I think there would have been maybe some kind of disturbance to alert. Obviously, if it started on the third floor, the people on the first floor aren't going to probably hear a dog yapping. But I don't know. Some dogs they got the voice. But something I just wanted to read. This was on their thing here, and this is by Christy, the sister of Kaylee, and told Jones that she believes Christy, excuse me, the mother, I'm sorry. Christy, the mother of Kaylee, told Jones that she believes her daughter and Jack would have eventually married, which I think is interesting. And then they also went on to say they would eventually have children, she said, explaining that the pair had dated for years, apparently 5 years, and were on track to reconcile after spending some time apart. So I just think that's kind of interesting that, here they're talking about, the mom's talking about, hey, these guys were going to get back together. But from what we're learning, Kaylee, who seems to be the target of the attack, possibly because she received the worst injuries, that these two were going to get back together. And you have the 10 phone calls that happened just before the murders, I think is, just looking at the clues that are there. Was there something that, an argument that happened before, like on Saturday that like, hey, these are going to be kind of our last days here. And, maybe Jack wanted to kind of spend some time with her because she's moving to Texas and there was a fight. And so, after they go to the bar, Grub truck, and they come home and they're like, hey, let's fix the problem before we go to bed. And so here you got Kaylee calling, 6-7 times, and then you have her friend Maddie who calls 3 times. And that's between, let me pull this back up here. So that happens between 2:26 and 2:52. So, I mean, that's, most people, at that time of night, you just text each other. If everything's kosher, like, hey, what's up? Hey, going to bed? Hey, this day and age, from what I've seen a lot of comments in my videos say, like, during these kind of hours, college kids usually just text each other. We only call if there's something important, really, So, like I said, I'm not trying to point the finger at Jack or anything, but I'm just trying to point out the pieces that are there and available to us. And yeah. Any thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, this case is so, I mean, we're only 3 weeks into it. And I know that the parents absolutely, they want to be kept abreast of every turn of evidence as it develops. And it's a fine line that law enforcement has to walk. And, but I think it will come. If it was just a single victim, then of course you would be worried about that. He was in and out and has gone his way and could be anyone in the world. But with 4 victims, there's evidence there. I feel absolutely confident there's evidence there through those interactions and that violence that, and it will lead to his downfall and his capture.
Yeah. She. So I don't know if you caught the first part, Joan. And I'd probably like to blow it up before I show it again because it's just really small. But I think she's saying "F you" to the other guy, Joe, and I'm going to make a video on that. And it's not to try to clear, Joe or the other way around. It just, like I said, when I saw that TikTok video, it doesn't show what happens just before that. And what happens before that is you actually see Joe, the bigger guy with the tan hat. He actually points at the girl. He actually puts his hand out like this, because I think he's going on to explain what happened to him earlier in an earlier altercation where she kind of bumped into him, and apparently he said ew. And so I think he's explaining that. He puts his hand out. As soon as he puts his hand out, that grabs Maddie's attention. I mean, she is looking, to me, in my opinion, right at him. And then that's right after she points and says, F you. And so in my opinion, and like I said, we'll look at that. I know that's not a big clue, but I just think context is everything. And, like I said, I didn't see the part of that because that TikTok video didn't show that. So final thoughts, Steve, with this case. We're moving into almost week 4. Now we have a vehicle. I mean, that's huge. We'll just talk about that one more time. With now having a vehicle, what does that do for this case?
Well, you're talking about a community, whereas you have out-of-state cars. You got a university. Kids have friends from all over the country that may be visiting, coming to pick them up, going for the holidays. We've got so much interactions that's going on. So there's going to be a lot of vehicles, both from in-state and out-of-state, plus people that might be leaving bars that been dropped off by Uber or otherwise. Will this car eventually be linked to the scene? Don't know. And because whatever brought it to the attention, and it is in a part of town that you wouldn't think is just a random person driving through. If the vehicle's there at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's there for a reason. Is someone returning and dropping off somebody from a late date out of town, or did someone go out and have a date somewhere and drop off another student? I mean, there's so many possibilities. We just don't know.
Yeah. So here, I don't know if you saw this, Steve. This was taken, I think, the first week. You just want to kind of explain what they're doing here. I mean, I know it's kind of obvious, but
yeah, I saw a different angle on this from down the hill. You got those looks like where somebody accelerated out of the location. If you go to the bottom of the picture, see those tire tracks?
Yep. Oh, yeah, they're clear as day.
Yeah, and on both sides. So they're measuring them, seeing what the acceleration was and what type of vehicle tire. They'll do rubber samples. They'll gather everything. Is there any blood or anything around that area, footprints? And but they'll know a lot about that tire because they'll be doing whatever type of analysis that the lab can on what the compounds are within that tire.
Yeah. So let's just take a look before we kind of settle things down here. Where that picture was taken, I might have to go to Google, pull up the old Google Maps here real quick and take a look at that, because that could be where that car was sitting at. I'm gonna take a wild guess if this car is in relationship to what happened. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up. They now blurred the actual house out. It's kind of interesting. So if I can tell, she is. Let's go ahead and let me pull up the picture. At the pole, so they're saying
it's right in there,
right
that
here.
Angle, well, just almost where the writing is where the tracks I saw from where CSI was working at. I saw it last week.
Because they're kind of and you can even see it right here.
There's dual tracks and
oops. So it could even be possible, especially if they know the location. Maybe drove in, turned around, to be able to, because they know it's a dead end. That might even speak volumes. Man, I just thought about that. They may know this area because obviously, if they were parked this way, that they're going right to a dead end. So, and if that's acceleration marks, they knew that, hey, I've got to get out this way here. But yeah, so it looks like this car. Come back here a little bit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right in that area there. You can see where. There you go. Is where those tracks were.
Let's see. When is so this was captured in October 2021. Someone says they can see a white Hyundai Elantra somewhere apparently. Is that a Hyundai? God, look how many white cars. Just look how many white cars there are. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. That's a Kia. That's a Subaru. A lot of white cars. I mean, white car is white color is the most prominent color. But that is interesting, though, to now have that information out there. We'll take a quick peek on Twitter to see if there's anything new. Now everybody's showing pictures of Hyundai Elantras. I've been seeing it like crazy. Someplace cool, but I'm not telling you where it is.
Well, we'll know pretty soon for the fact that anyone that's driving that has, they'll come forward, oh, that was me.
Yeah, for sure. Here's official press statements. Is there anything new on that? No, just the same stuff. It's the same thing. But yeah, I mean, that's huge with the vehicle and stuff. So yeah, let me see. Hopefully I didn't miss anything with any donations. Like I say, guys, donate. Really helps the channel. Appreciate everybody that has donated. And Steve, my guest today, he has his own channel, True Crime Web. If you could, please go and subscribe to his channel. He also covers true crime, and not only covers true crime, but goes out and he's helping work on some cold cases. And it will hopefully have some interesting stories to tell. Are you going to be covering this case? You're going live tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'm still doing some control testing on the firearm that was recovered from Richard Allen's house that is reported to had found the bullet from the crime scene between Libby and Abby. And so I've done some control testing on that, the ejection of that type of firearm, and was putting a bunch of bullets or unspent rounds under the microscope the last couple of days, and doing that tomorrow night.
Awesome. So I'll put that. I don't know if I start. Hopefully it goes to the top. But anyway, Steve should have his thing towards the top of the chat, and I should be back live tomorrow with whatever updates are here. We'll probably be talking about this case since it's the biggest case, and then if there's anything from Delphi, that's kind of the two cases we've been covering, and then. If you missed it, we had we both on each of our channels had Drew Collins on, and that's from the Evansdale murders. They just the 10-year anniversary of that case, 10 years unsolved, terrible tragedy. And so we each had an interview with the father of one of the victims. So if you're curious about that, please go check that out on my channel and also Steve's. We each did our own interview, and maybe we'll kind of recap that as well. So. With that, I wish I could get to some people's questions, but I wouldn't know where to start and end. We'd be here all night. But I really appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys are amazing. If you can, please hit the like button before you guys leave. And we will be, I will be covering this tomorrow. Sounds like Steve will be covering Delphi. And with that said, thank you to the mods for your hard work. And we will play a pet outro. If you're new to the channel, we like to show the viewers pets. And so if you want to send in pictures of your pets with their names, we'll get them worked into the outro. Michelle says, thank you guys. Great live. Thank you so much. It's me, Michelle. And there's one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't think of it. So, Steve, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I'll put you backstage, my friend.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
All right. I appreciate your time, bub. And yeah, if you guys can, just hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate it. And we will go ahead and play the pet outro. Make sure I can find it here. There it is. And I will be breaking that video down just for you guys. I know it's nothing big, but I think if you guys see the context and when it's big, I really think she's pointing to the Tanak guy. But I'll make a video and show it and let you guys decide. So that said, thank you guys so much. Thank you all to whoever donated. Really appreciate it. Supporting the channel. You guys are awesome. Love you guys, and we will see you guys tomorrow.